We'll prepare a full week 2 cash lineup on the main slate on DraftKings and our favorite GPP stacks coming up next.
Hello, folks. I'm Michael Wiley, along here with Eric Lee, and we're the fantasy football consultants here ready to talk about the lineup. Eric, where do we want to start today?
I'm going to start at running back, and I'm going to look for a guy who checks all the boxes. And believe it or not, I don't have to spend up way at the top to do it. Let's all go back in time. It was a SAQUON leap, Michael. Who is this guy? He was a young guy again. 18 carries, 164 yards with 6 receptions. Wow. And here's the good news. Look who he draws. Can he do it again? I do think so. He faces the Carolina Panthers, who gave up over 200 yards rushing in the first week last week. Now they're the second to the last rushing defense because of that. So, man, it's not the stats, Michael. He really looked like his old self.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I think you said it right. It's like going back in time. I really like the new coach and some of the things that he did late in that game.
They bumped him over, I think, $1,200. I think it was $6,100 last week. And he just does everything. He's a home. He's favored. He's a bell cow. He's a goal line. He catches passes. So let's get him in our lineup.
Yeah, and with that, I think this is DraftKings. We can't pay up all over the place. So, and I know we want to have a couple spots we want to pay up elsewhere. So let's save some money. Let's go way down the list here and take advantage of an injury. You see right there, Elijah Mitchell is out. He's been put on the IR. And San Francisco hopefully is going to have a little more opportunity this game. Seattle looked okay against Denver's run, but I think they got a lot of help from the 12th man. And we know that San Francisco loves to run the ball.
I think the biggest issue that you have to ask Jeff Wilson is he going to be the guy? And I think the answer from a running back perspective, he will be. He got all those 9 carries after Mitchell left the game and got a little exposure to the passing game as they played that game in a swamp, Michael. Terrible conditions. It'll be much better conditions about home in San Francisco. The thing, though, you always worry about with San Francisco is Trey Lance. Will he steal some carries as the quarterback? And they still did give the ball to Debo a few times out of the backfield.
Yeah, that will happen. But Kyle Shanahan loves to use the traditional run in order to open things up for his quarterback, and that's what Trey Lance is going to need. So I think at $5,100, this is a nice little bargain to take advantage of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. So from there, let's go to wide receiver. DraftKings was giving him away at $5,500. Newsflash, he's not $5,500 anymore. They have upped the price to Michael Pittman Jr. to $6,700. But I got to tell you, folks, they're in just as good a matchup last week when they played Houston as this week when they played Jacksonville. Let me just let you know something, folks. Jacksonville gave up over 300 yards passing and 4 TDs to Carson Wentz.
Yeah, and we'd all like to think that Matt Ryan is quite a bit better. I think that game was so disappointing to have tied Houston in the end, especially with the rushing yards that they got from their workhorse. And so and Pittman still had a ton of yards, and I think he's by far the number 1 target, maybe the only really decent target there for Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
So once again, you're making me save a few dollars for it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. And I'm going to go back to Jerry Jeudy from the Denver Broncos. And so he has that matchup against Houston, who we saw was not great against the pass. And we know last couple of years, they just haven't had a strong defensive backfield. Jerry Jeudy is the guy who's getting the receptions out of the slot. We saw the long touchdown pass on Monday night against Seattle. Probably was missed a few times as well. That Seattle crowd was so rough on Denver and Russell Wilson. And I think Denver will benefit from being at home against this kind of atrocious Houston defense, who somehow pulled out a tie against Indianapolis.
You might ask, how is Jerry Jeudy so cheap, $5,600 after this big game against Seattle? It's because the pricing was set before the big game against Seattle. That was a Monday night game. That's something all fantasy fans should remember. All the information that comes out of Monday night game is not considered in the salary. Really like the fact that it seemed like he has a real rapport with Russell Wilson.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think there's a couple other, we really want to put some special people in the flex and have a good, strong tight end. So I think another pick here for you that I think saves some money and is this, really strong, talented guy. And he got involved a little bit more than I think people believed he would first time out in New Orleans. That's Jarvis Landry at only $5,000. Okay, Michael Thomas, he's back. He got his nice game. But guess who led the team in receptions and yardage? It was Jarvis Landry. And so we see that Jameis Winston already has a nice rapport with Jarvis Landry. So I think this is a nice purchase. Again, DraftKings kind of limited dollars here, which allows us to pay up a little bit at the flex position and even a tiny bit at the tight end.
Yeah, what have we said here for better parts of 2 years, and has always served us well? Don't play running backs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can have some success in the passing game, because if they have any success, it's going to come in the passing game. So that's what we're going to do. I don't know, Michael. Let's go over the tight end. We have had a habit in week 1 of paying down, and we got burned with that with Cole Kmet in the swamp there. Did not catch a pass. Not happy about that at all. So let's not have a repeat of that. And I don't think there's any way that we're going to have a repeat of that, given the tight end we're going to go. We're going to go with Darren Waller. There's a lot to like here, Michael. I'm going to let you talk about your man, but let me just talk about the environment that he's playing in. I love the fact that this is a super high scoring game with Arizona, the highest on the slate. He's got a good implied total. And I think that, he's still the safety valve for Derek Carr, right?
Yeah, that's right. And now that Davante Adams has shown that he has a nice rapport with Derek Carr, I think you're going to see that Darren Waller will not be double teamed the rest of the season. It's just, you can't do that. And so we saw that really opened up a few things for Darren Waller against the Chargers, who are typically tough on tight ends. And so I see, Arizona, who I think has been really bad against tight ends for not just last week, but all of last season. I think this pays well. The Raiders are going to have to throw the ball to win. I think they can't afford to lose game 2 here. And so you're going to see them come out, and hopefully you'll see a better Derek Carr this week. And I think a big part of that's going to be Darren Waller. It's tempting to go with Pitts at a few $100s cheaper, but he draws this week a tough matchup, right? He's up against the Rams, who are really tough on tight ends, not just last week, but this whole last year as well.
Before we get to the flex and the defense, let's talk quarterback. So, we played some Lamar Jackson last week, which was fine. Also, Jalen Hurts, who's not on the main slate this week. But there are some intriguing options by paying down, not bargain basement paying down, but just in that mid range, which we generally like to do. And there are 2 guys who are in reasonable matchups at reasonable prices. And that is Carson Wentz and Trey Lance. Let's talk about each of them because we're going to throw it out to you guys. We'll make a final call here, but we're going to throw it out to you. Pick the guy that you're most comfortable with. If you want to go with the hot hand, go with Carson Wentz. Man, Michael, again, he was playing Jacksonville, but I think he gets just as good a matchup playing the Detroit Lions. 313 yards and 4 TDs. This Detroit Lions, I just love the matchup because not only is their defense awful, but their offense puts points on the board. So it really does make for a kind of a shootout situation. And I mean, he didn't do much last week in yardage, but he will take off and run every now and then to supplement his passing game.
Yeah, and he's been pretty strong around the goal line, which helped him out again last week. This Detroit defense is so bad. I mean, the Eagles probably could have put up 60 some odd points if they would have just kept the foot on the gas pedal. Instead, they went into relaxation mode. I think the addition of Curtis Samuel for Washington is really been huge to add to McLaurin. They're running their backfield as well. So I think this is tempting. Trey Lance, obviously had a horrible week last week in Chicago. And so I think you're going to see a lot of improvement there. Seattle didn't look that great against the pass, despite the help from the 12th man that they continued to get. I think Trey Lance should have a good week as well, including on the ground. I think Lance probably has a little bit of a higher floor, and we like that in these cash games. Like you say, I think you can't go wrong.
But how much concern do you have in week 2? Obviously, Lance had a terrible game last week in horrible weather conditions. If he struggles in this game, do you think there's any chance that they'll pull the trigger and use Garoppolo?
No way.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a very huge mistake. So
yes. All right. They did invest a whole lot of draft capital to get this guy. So if you like Wentz, get him in your lineup. You can easy pivot with the price. We are going to put Trey Lance in the lineup, and that leaves us $9,000. Yes, $9,000 for our flex play and our defense. Let's go to defense because there's an obvious defense play if you do what we're going to do this week and what we do a lot of weeks, which is pay down. And at only 2,200, this is going to be highly owned, but I don't care in cash games. It's fine to have highly owned players. Is the Cincinnati Bengals. Michael, this is a conundrum why they are only priced at $2,200. First of all, let's talk about the Bengal defense. They were very good last week. You might say, but they gave up 23 points. No, they didn't. They gave up 16 points because Joe Burrow threw a pick 6 the other way. So the defense really only gave up 16 points. They didn't put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. But the reason I really like this pick, besides them just holding the fort against Pittsburgh, despite their offense repeatedly turning the ball over, 5 turnovers by Cincinnati, is the fact that they face Dallas. Yes, the Dallas team that scored a whopping 3 points against Tampa Bay, and the Dallas team that no longer has their Amari Cooper or now Dak Prescott.
You're right. This Bengals defense, I mean, I can't believe they kept the Cincinnati in that game with all of the turnovers and poor play that we saw out of the offense in Cincinnati. Now, you can chalk that a little bit up to Najee being out and Mitch Trubisky, being the quarterback. But I think that's basically a repeat of what you're going to see this week. And so, yeah, this is a pretty obvious pick. I'd have been willing to pay even a little bit more, but look what it does for us at the flex spot. So let's go there. I don't think we need to talk anymore about defenses.
All right. So the flex spot, I've pushed Michael's nerve. Anytime we talk defense more than 2 minutes, Michael gets annoyed. All right. So on the flex spot, we have $6,800. Note we'd have $6,700 if you pick Carson Wentz. And that's okay. We're not picking Mike Evans. I'm not interested in Mike Evans this week. He faces Marshawn Lattimore. Mike Evans has historically done very poor against Marshawn Lattimore. So let's talk. Got a couple of nice options. Leonard Fournette is intriguing at 6,700, but I'm going to go with a guy at that who's even cheaper at 6,500, and we'll have some extra cash around in case a bargain comes up. How about Javonte Williams in a dream matchup at home against the Houston Texans? All right, so I watched this guy all Monday night. And I think the Seahawks knew that the way to mess with Russell Wilson is to try to put a little pressure on him. And I cannot tell you how many times they put pressure on him and Wilson just dumped the ball off to Javonte Williams. And he ran 9 yards. So, wow. If Houston makes that same mistake, you can expect, again, a lot of receptions, which is so big in PPR. Look, I know that he shares carries with Melvin Gordon, but personally, I think Javonte Williams is the better back, and he should be the back over time that gets more carries. Do you share that opinion between Williams and?
Yeah, no question. Mostly because of where Melvin Gordon is in his career, but Javonte Williams is a very, very strong receiving running back. They knew he was in on passing downs, and he still caught 11 of the 12 targets that he had. And let's face it, this is kind of Russell Wilson's new approach to the game. Look what Rashad Penny did towards the end of last season. Also because of Russell Wilson. So I think this is just a repeat of that. Javonte Williams is a great receiver in the backfield. I think of all the receiver options, he may get the most catches, and he has that upside on the goal line as well. So I really like this pick, and I like using these extra dollars, potentially see what, like you say, comes up as a bargain to maybe upgrade a couple of the other positions.
If you made it this far in the video, please help us out. If you haven't yet, smash the subscribe button. We would really appreciate it as we try to reach 10,000 subscribers this year. Our favorite GPP play for week 2 comes from the highest scoring game, Arizona and Las Vegas, with Derek Carr going to his #1 target, Davante Adams, and running that back with Arizona's big play receiver, Hollywood Brown. If you want to see an entire GPP lineup for week 2 on DraftKings, check out the video I did with Rob McLister of DFS Hub. That video is on the screen right now. As well, when available, is the video where we take a look at FanDuel's week 2 main slate. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.